Hey guys, what's up? Tamara here. I have Octavia with me from Read, Sleep, Repeat, and she is joining us for the second time to talk about the Fever series. What's up, Octavia?
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me again. Sorry I took forever to get here.
Hey, you're here now. I think we have one viewer with us today. So, hi, viewer. I don't see where I can chat with you. I'm going to try to figure that out. Um, But in the meantime, I think you can post on the side, and it should pop up for me somewhere if you have questions for us, either of us. All right, so let's jump right in, right?
Fun, fun, fun. Okay, so today we're talking about books 3 and 4, right?
We are Feafever and Dreamfever.
Okay, I'm gonna let you go ahead and start on this one. Because if I
Okay,
start, I
well,
won't shut up.
I actually read Feafever like back in August, so I have my little notes so I don't
Okay.
forget. I'm like, oh, I had to review it, but I'm excited. This was, if I remember correctly, this book was almost a turning point in the series, especially toward the end. We'll get to that, but I feel like overall, Faith Fever was the beginning of the end, so to speak. For Mac, for Barons, for all the other cast, for Danny, this book was actually, I think, where the crazy really started to jump off. What do you think?
I completely agree.
Hmm.
Book 3, personally, I did not love book 3. I liked it a lot, but I did not love it. And I'm happy because a lot of stuff actually did happen for once instead of just everyone talking all this big talk. We actually got some action. So that was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's this one wasn't really my favorite per se, but I feel like I rated it 4 out of 5, and I felt okay. Well, first off, the beginning kind of threw me a little bit. The fact that Mac was writing in her diary in the beginning, I'm not sure how I really felt about that, but I think that was where I was kind of like, how is this gonna go? But
Hmm.
around, I feel like maybe halfway. Again, I think like the last books, things really started moving. We were getting closer and closer to the climax. Halloween was getting closer and closer, and things just started
Falling
popping
apart. I will give the series that no matter what, the beginning portion of all the books is like, ugh, I'm going into this. It's slow, but then you hit a point, and it's like from there you don't want it to end, and then bam, you're smacked in the face with a cliffhanger.
off. Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
and book 3 was no exception. I
Mhm.
really was not feeling the majority of it, but along that final scene, I just did not want it to stop.
You know what? That final scene, to be quite frank, it freaked me out. I was like having a cow about that final scene. I'm like, all this, like, I guess, back and forth that Mac had, all of this restraint she had about, fighting off the urges that the prince gave her, and then just to be so weak, and then just fall and just be
Ugh,
taken. It was
I
just too
just,
much for me.
I think my thing was I wanted her to do the cliche thing. I wanted her to come to the brink and then just come back all strong and not, succumb to whatever was gonna happen. I didn't necessarily, and this is of course a spoiler if you're watching. Hello, we're talking about book 3,
Hmm.
but she really did just like fail, like completely fall flat on her face and fail. And I guess
Hmm.
I just wasn't, that's not something you see often in a book. Usually the heroine comes out on top no matter what. And she really just like failed.
Yeah, it was a massive fail. And you know what? It was so bad that the author actually had to like soothe us at the end of the thing because it was so traumatic. She had to give us a little blurb telling us, well, we knew something bad was going to happen.
Hmm.
I foreshadowed this, but it will all work out. It will be okay, pretty much. And she needed to do that. It was so traumatizing,
Yes.
to be honest.
If she wouldn't have
Um,
done it, I'm pretty sure I would have not picked up the next book. Like, wait, you can't just do this to me. You just broke my heart.
I know it was pretty. Yeah, it was really dark, and you think it was bad with the last one where she almost got tortured to death. You think that's bad. I mean, but this one was pretty bad.
But she continued the dark theme through, book four,
Mhm.
which I was not expecting that. I thought that, once everything in the beginning that happened in book four happened, that she would come back this, Mac, but just a stronger version of Mac. No, she did like a complete 180 and was this whole nother person, and just the elements are darker, the people were threatening, like it was just completely just like I don't want to be a part of that world.
Yeah, book four was pretty intense, but I think it had to be. I mean, well, honestly, at the beginning, she is Priya of book four.
Mhm.
Um, she is like being held captive by the Sea Seers, and we're really not sure when she's going to come out of it. But I
Mm-mm.
remember reading that, like thinking, when is this gonna flip the script? Because I am sick to death of her acting like this, and I
Mhm.
just didn't like it. I was trying to hold on, and it took longer than I thought, but finally, she comes out of it, and you remember what brings her out of it, right?
Yes, I do, and I have to admit this. I have to admit this. I books one through three, I did not understand the whole. Oh my God, I love Barons. Oh, I love Lane. All of that nonsense. This is the book that decided what team I'm on, and I am completely Team Barons. I am.
Now you
I
know
am.
what? If Blaine had got to her first, you would
She would
be
still
Team
be Price.
Blaine.
She would be Price though. Like he wouldn't have brought her out of it. He would have just pushed her further in.
You know what? You might be right. And it's funny because, I've read book five already. So I don't want to tell you, but yeah, it's all bad. It's all bad. So I'm with you on Team Barons. I'm right there with you on that one. Even though I still kind of think he's a jerk. I don't really
Oh yeah,
know,
he's a complete jerk. But in this book, I got to see maybe he's not as bad as I want to think he is.
hmm
And I
hmm
really just wish Mac would get her head out her butt and just, give a little, just a little. I'm not saying you gotta trust a man with, everything, but you gotta have somebody in this world to trust. Somebody.
Yeah, but I think that's the problem with Barons is he just really expects Mac to just go on blind faith that he is doing what is right. Like in all these situations, like
Right.
with the finding the book, his reasons for finding the book. I mean, he just expects her to just roll with it and don't ask any questions. I'm not going to answer them.
You
I'm
know.
not going to give you an inch. You just have to trust me and I'll keep you alive.
See,
That's how
yeah,
he plays it the whole time.
you're right. You're right. And that's a no go. Especially with the type of person that Mac is. Mac is like, look, I'll go with you, I'll help you, we'll figure this out, but you gonna tell me what I'm getting into.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
was, but I like watching them, not bicker, but find that medium for them.
Yeah.
And it took a while, but
Honestly, I think they don't really ever find that real harmony until the very end of things. I just feel like while they do have their routine of bickering and they have their way of wordlessly talking to each other and stuff like that, I just feel like until like a certain turning point, they really just I don't know. It's just like that electric magnetic thing they have going on. Not that they're
hmm
really you know what I'm trying to say. It's not like they're
right.
really good for each other, but they just have that thing
They got
that
the
just
chemistry. The
exactly.
right. I like that they weren't going at each other's throats as much. Like they still were going head to head and blow for blow, but it wasn't as much as in like book one.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, like that.
Well,
I There was some
well you
progress.
Well, you know what? In book 4, when they started that book, he was all about getting her out of her prior state. So maybe after having sex with her for God knows how long, he was able to loosen up a little bit.
Might have helped.
But it took that, it took her seeing her in a different way, like being totally enslaved to him almost, for him to be like, even like, do you remember that part where he could tell that she was coming back and he said bye to her? Like,
Yes.
oh, you're leaving me or whatever. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, here we go. Back to Jackass right now. Here it comes.
It's like he couldn't stand for her to see that, you know what, yeah, I might be an actual person under all of this. It's like, dude, it's seriously not that big a deal. Like,
Yeah.
stop making it so big. You're being dramatic.
Yeah. Those scenes were a little bit much though. I don't know.
I really, really like, besides Barron's, the level of action in book 4.
Mm-hmm.
It did not stop for me. I didn't love all of it, of course, but
Mm-hmm.
I felt like this was probably the first book where it started with our feet hitting the ground as soon as we went out the gate. Whereas all the
Mm-hmm.
other ones, it's like it's really slow. You gotta find the spot where you want to get into. Like this one, it started. I'm Priya. Now I'm not Priya. I'm kicking ass. I'm doing this. It's like it just kept going. I like that.
Yeah, after she came out of her little prior state, she was Mac 4.0. I mean, this chick, I've never seen someone be rebooted so many
So many
times.
times. It's like AOL all over again.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Like something major happens and oh, I'm a new person. I got a new philosophy. That's how she does every time.
It gets, that gets so old so fast though. It's like, so every time something changes, you're just gonna completely reinvent yourself. You can't just, tweak your mindset about this one thing.
Mm-hmm. No, she can't. She
So she
I
has
think she
to.
does it again in book 5. I feel like she has another reboot in book 5. Yes, she does. She sure does. She has one more where something happens and she's like, "Oh, this is
At the
how
end of
this
this
life
series,
is
she
gonna
gonna be
go."
Mac 8.3. I'm telling
I,
you.
I don't know. It seems like it because she doesn't quit. I mean, but I guess that's a part of her evolving. But I don't know if she has to necessarily change her whole standpoint on things
Or
just
tell us
because.
every single time. Like you don't have to
Exactly.
say every other page, I'm Mac 2.0. Look at me. I don't like pink. I like black. It's like, please stop. We get it. You're changing. You're growing. But you don't have to tell us. We're not stupid.
I know. It is pretty laid out in black and white with like, oh, the colors that I want to wear, the style, my hair, how she changes her nails, her hair color, and it is kind of dramatic with the changes that she's doing,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I guess it works for Barron's because he likes the new dark Mac anyway.
I guess if it works for Barron's, that's all that matters, I
I
suppose.
guess. I guess so.
Something I did not expect, and I said this in the last video, how much I did not like Danny, like
Hmm.
her just voice in general. I liked Danny in book 4.
You did?
I did. She's still an annoying little kid, but I got to see more of her, which made the annoying little kid more uh, believable. Something that I could
Hmm.
say, okay, it makes sense that you're an annoying little kid. You have nobody.
Hmm.
Everybody's a jerk to you. Nobody, everyone's always underestimating you. I can understand why you're excited you got somebody to pay you a little attention. So
Yeah.
I like Danny in this book.
Yeah, I liked her little interludes. She's still not my favorite, and her overuse of dude, it's just too much. It's just killing me still.
And
And
Freck,
yeah, Frank.
Freck. It's like,
Like,
yeah,
oh,
like stop, please.
it's pretty bad. I mean, the little girl. I mean, she is like what, 13 or 14 or something. I
Hmm.
can't remember her age, but she's young.
Yeah, she definitely is. I and
I'm
I,
curious to,
I didn't like her.
I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with her in Iced because I know this is a skipping ahead a little bit, but At first, I thought Ice was supposed to be young adult, which I'm glad it's really not, because I could not imagine the author changing gears like that for Danny. So I'm guessing, just based on the darkness of these books, Danny's probably going to be doing some inappropriate things for her age range.
But can we really put her on the same pedestal as other 13-year-olds?
No, I guess not, with her being an orphan and killing people
Killing
at a
things,
young
right?
age.
I'm like, I can look past some indiscretions for, her background and her current state. Because, I mean, she's 13, but she's lethal.
Oh, yeah, she's a killer, and she should probably have a drink at the end of the day after she killed all those people. Unseelie, excuse me.
Yes, that's how I feel. I feel like she deserves a shot after she finishes. Cramming all these candy bars down her throat. Honey, here's a drink. Sit down.
Okay, now stop me if this was not in this book, because I'm kind of blurring them together. But like, it was funny because Mac was trying to become like kind of motherly toward her. I think that was this book, and if it's not, stop me because I'm ahead. But like, she's.
You're right. It's this one.
Yeah, because she was like, oh, I'm gonna give my virginity to Blaine. I'm gonna.
It's like, yeah, don't do that.
Get out of here, little girl. What you talking about?
Like, if you do that, you'll be pariah, you'll be upset. Don't do it. Or, oh my goodness, where was it? It was in the beginning of book 4 when Barons had just rescued Mac. And the last thing Danny said right there was she was going to give her virginity to Barons. I was like, that would scare the mess out of me. The last thing I would be thinking about is, yep, I'm going to jump his bones next week. No. Especially once she described how he came in. No. I don't understand.
Yeah, she's a little wacky like that. She just, I don't know, maybe there's no other little boys her age, which makes me wonder which one of these dudes is she going to get a crush on after, Blaine and Barons aren't available to her anymore. What's she going to go for,
But I guess in order to know that, we would have to have her own series. And I'm not ready to give up Mac's story yet, so, we can hold off on Danny's.
Well, we're all Danny and Ice,
I know. I was not excited about that before. I was not at all, but I am now. I am now. I am excited to see things from that perspective because it's only from one book. I mean, if the rest of the series is like that, I probably would stop. But for one book, I think I can suffer through it.
Yeah, I'm trying to go into it with an open mind. I'm gonna read that in November, and hopefully it delivers. I'm kind of nervous, but I'm trying to keep my mind open and not be, feeling away. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We know that they're gonna have some villains opposite her, so she's probably gonna have another difficult person to work with, like Mac did. I'm thinking they're gonna throw in something to keep it interesting.
Heard, what's that cop's name? I just finished reading it, but the cop from the first few books, I heard he has a bigger role in Ice. Which.
And I didn't even really like his character that much.
Me neither.
He kind of annoyed me.
I don't know. I felt like he had this I'm entitled kind of vibe. Not in a Barron's way, because at least Barron's, it was like, okay, well, you kind of are trying to keep us all alive. But the cop was like, well, if you give us your spear, we could kill him. It's like, no, I can kill him on my own. Well, I was hoping it didn't have to come to this, but it's like, don't
get out of here.
Right.
They're like, we wish you would try to take these weapons. You just try.
You don't try and threaten me. Have you lost it?
I know. I mean, did he forget this is the chick that fed you Unseelie?
As much stuff as Mac has done for him, when I read that part in book 4, I was like, are you kidding? You're going to turn guns on this woman after everything she's done for you? She could have easily let you wind up like your partner. Easily.
Yeah. She almost should have. Because I guess him and his little entourage of makeshift, unseelie killers. I guess they have their
The
purpose.
Guardians, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. But you know what I found very interesting in book 4, and this is a testament to how much better book 4 was to book 3. The fact that we're on book 4. We kind of like brush book 3 to the side.
Like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, but in book 4 though, you know how after Mac came out of the prior state, she figured out that she had a few more abilities. Like she couldn't, like she wasn't as she could stand up to Blaine and didn't feel the effects of his fate,
Right.
princeness on her. Her the
She could
death
look
by
at him in
prince
his
thing.
true form without, her eyes bleeding,
Yeah,
which was
yeah.
crazy in
I guess.
itself.
But I guess it's kind of like I think they described it in the book, and I can't remember how Moaning described it, but it was almost like because she had overdosed on all the unseelie princes, it had kind of like muted that effect for her.
Nice.
So
I like
that was
that.
interesting. Well, now that's happening. Like these other skills are coming out. Like how she's able to kind of push herself into Baron's mind. That was different. Like, what's up with
That
that?
threw me. That completely
Yeah.
threw me. I was like, whoa, what? Like, Baron's allowed this? And you keep seeing it's like Baron's trying to, like, get her out, but she keeps pushing, which I know is going to bite her in the butt later. But
Oh,
that
yeah.
is a cool talent.
Yeah, it is. It's like then you start to wonder though. This whole time we're so focused, thanks to Mac, about what is Baron's. What is Baron's?
What
But
is
I think
he?
the question is starting to become, what is Mac?
That is
She's
a
not
better
human.
question. She's not.
She
It's not
she can't be.
possible.
Yeah.
Not with the talents that she has. I mean, I really want to know what Barron's is. I more so want to know what the guys who came with him to rescue Mac are as well. Like, I need to
Well,
know what cloth y'all are cut from.
Well, it does. We do get later some information about that, but I don't know if it's going to be to your satisfaction.
Ugh, I just want to know. I want to. I need to know.
I
Like,
know, and it's almost like, I don't know. It's just one of those things that Barron's and his little team of people, they just like how he expects her to just go on faith with everything else. He
hmm
doesn't want to disclose anything about himself, but it's explained later. So, yeah, you know,
boo, boo to that. I guess I
yeah.
have no choice but boo to that. On the plus side, since I am caught up, now I just have to read 5 and 6, which
Mhm.
will help. And I think book 7, that comes out next year, if I'm
Yeah,
not
it actually
mistaken.
comes out in the winter. I think it comes out in January or February, pretty early.
So I don't have to wait too long for that, which is fantastic. That's burned.
Yeah.
So,
But you know what though? Shadow Fever, I think that's what it was called, book 5. It's a
mhm.
monster of a book. I think that thing is over like, dare I say, almost 700 pages. It's not a joke. It's pretty big. Yeah, if it's not over 7, it's close to 7. So,
Yeah, no, I'm not okay with that.
yeah, yeah. Um, But it's worth it though. I feel like that book, so many things were revealed, and these two books, or at least Dreamfever, that is a really good jump off, especially the end of Dreamfever.
Ugh.
Um, yeah, and it just makes you wonder, like, what's going on? What?
Like, what's going on? What's going to happen next? Why did this happen? How could you leave me like this?
I know. What? Okay, if I'm remembering right, wasn't the cliffhanger at the end where she killed the animal?
Yep.
Okay. Now, you find out what about the animal like in the first couple pages of Shadow Fever. So that is a big one. A big one. You're gonna be like, oh no, I can't
Oh,
believe it.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, you gotta get to it. It's good. It's good business. And um, yeah. So it's all good. So. By the way, what did you rate Dream Fever?
I haven't rated it yet, but I'm leaning. I want to give it a solid 4.5.
Mhm.
I wasn't completely in love with it, but to be honest, out of all the books so far, I think it's my favorite.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
do. I like that there were things happening. So I'm gonna go either a 4 or 4.5.
Mm, that's good. I think I gave it a solid 4. But just thinking about all the things that happened in that book, I probably should have rated it a little higher, but I went with 4. I really liked it. And you know what else? You know I was listening to this on audio, right?
Mhm.
This book 4 was the turning point where we got new narrators. So
Oh.
remember I was telling you about the old lady sounding voice? That's gone. So we now have a younger voice for Mac, and the woman is able to stretch and do Danny really well. And then we have a man narrator who does Barons and all the others. It's kind of split up from multiple points of view.
Mhm.
So it's good. I like it. I really, especially Baron's voice. It's kind of like, oh my god, he does Baron's voice. But
So.
yeah, you should at least listen to some snippets of the audiobook because it really does help that, we have a man and a woman versus just one woman reading the whole book.
Mhm.
And with the change, it really helped a lot. And I kind of took a sneak peek into Iced with the narrators, and the same two people are narrating. So that makes me feel like some of the male characters that this guy did before will resurface.
Okay.
Obviously, like probably some of Barron's people will be in there. I don't know how heavy Mac and Barron's will be, if at all, but at least those other people will be there probably.
I actually was thinking about picking up Shadow Fever in audio form because it is such a massive book. I'm not against massive books at all. It's just I have no space left for them. So I was thinking maybe do that one in an audio and then go back to picking up the printed version for Iced and Burned when Burned comes out.
hmm Well, that's a good idea. I think you will enjoy Shadow Fever on audio. I know I did. It made it a lot easier, I think, to get through it. But yeah, I can't talk about that book. Otherwise, I'll get into a whole nother situation. But I think you'll enjoy that. So you should pick it up on audio because we'll be able to talk about different aspects um, if we're both listening to the same thing.
Right. I like this plan. I like this plan a lot.
hmm
I think I actually saw it on Overdrive about a week ago. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and download it because that's a massive book, and I want to see how they bring them to life with their voices.
Yeah, and you will probably, I don't know how often you have the time to listen to audio, but I finished it in the 14 days or whatever you were allowed to have it before it yanks it back.
Mhm.
But you probably, if you don't listen every day, you'll probably push the limit on finishing that before the 14 days because it's long. I think it's almost 20 hours or something like that.
Okay.
But it's good though. It
I'll
passes
tackle
fast.
it. I will tackle it.
Yeah. So, okay, what else? Do we have anything else about these two books, Feafever and Dreamfever?
I feel so bad. It's like we just grazed over book 3, but I
We,
mean, I really don't have a lot to say.
we kind of did. I just feel like the best part of book 3 was the ending,
Mhm.
almost.
Completely
Um,
agree.
yeah, and and it's funny when I look back at my notes on this, it was about half the size of Dreamfever. See that?
Yeah.
So I feel like there was much more to say on Dreamfever than there was on Feafever, and that's just, I guess that's
That's
just
just how
how
it
it
worked
worked
out.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. It was. I feel bad, but at the same time, it was like it really didn't get good until the end, and by the time it did get good, it was like, well, it's over.
Mhm.
And then
So
you're picking up. You know.
it's funny because with these endings, I could not imagine reading that ending for Feafever and then having to wait a whole calendar year to find out what happened to Mac.
Right? I probably, if I would have had to wait and I read that then, I probably wouldn't continue with the series.
Mhm. Mhm.
I probably
Yeah.
just would have been like, okay.
And you know what? I agree with you. And you know what though? Honestly, I don't know if that doesn't speak well for the series that it would be easy to put down if you had a long wait for it.
Right.
Because I do feel like, and I don't know if I told you, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but when I first started this series, it was a very long gap before I decided to give book 2 a try. I
Mhm.
actually read it, I think, a year ago, almost a year ago exactly, and I was kind of like, meh, it's all right.
Right.
And I kind of just left it alone, and then one day I was looking for an audiobook because what I wanted was not available. So I'm like, well, what could I listen to? I'm like, okay, well, I guess I can give this a try again, being that it's available, no one else has it checked out. Okay, I'll try it. And
Mhm.
then here we are.
Right. It
So
it's a good series. It really is a good series. It's just it's not something that you feel like, okay, I gotta finish the series right this second. I have to finish it.
yeah.
It doesn't have you gripped like that. It's good. You want to keep going and see what happens and figure out stuff, but it's not like you are compelled to completely finish it.
Yeah. And, I partly wonder if it's because of the lack of romance, because, a lot of stuff like authors like Karen Marie Moning are kind of like into that paranormal romance. And to
Mhm.
me, I feel like this series is just straight urban fantasy.
I
Like, I feel
agree.
like there's hints here and there, but like that feeling that people want the couple to be together, that imagining the couple and all that stuff that people get out of paranormal romance isn't in this series.
Mm-mm. It's not. And
So,
I think you're onto something. I would never classify this series as paranormal romance. To me, it really is like, straight urban fantasy. There is no real romance aspect to speak of. Yeah, you have Barons and Mac and Blaine and all of that, but it's not romance. That's more so
no.
just, sexual tension, if anything.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I
Exactly.
think that really is something that's not there that usually pushes people to see, okay, well,
Mhm.
who is she going to end up with? What's
Mhm.
going to happen? We
Mhm.
don't have that.
Because I even think of like, do you read J.R. Ward at all?
I have the first book.
Oh, I love
I
that
have not
series.
finished it.
Oh,
I
oh,
know I'm
you
going
have.
to get it for that. I have it and I've started it. Looks like I'm not that far though. Look, from here it looks like I'm only like 100 and something pages in.
Okay. Well, I find that like with her books, there's not really any triangles in her books, but each book you get to see a different brother, and it gets to, gets you wanting to figure out who they're going to be with. And then as the
Mhm.
books go on, they start to weave more and more together. It's like early on, it's each individual brother per book, and then as you get, I think around book 7 or 8 or something like that, the stories start to and weave, and tangle together, and it
Mhm.
just keeps you wanting more and more and more. And I feel like that's lacking here.
Yeah,
That
completely.
feeling that you just want to just devour all of the books at once
It's
is
not there.
missing.
Like it's a good
Yeah.
series. I don't want anyone who's seeing this to think that, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't get it. It is a great series. I completely recommend it, but it doesn't make you yearn to finish
Mhm.
it. That's all.
Exactly. I agree. I totally agree with that. But I'm happy that I did continue on. I'm happy that I will continue on because I feel like I'm vested now. So I definitely will see how I feel at the end of Iced. Hopefully it continues and it's great. But oh my God, I'm a little scared. I gotta tell you, I'm a little scared.
I'm trying to go into ice, with happy thoughts. It's such a difference. Like you don't go into a series with one character and then all of a sudden, ha ha ha, she's gone for a little while. Like
Hmm.
no.
You know what? Like on that topic though, I feel like maybe like I wonder if Ice didn't perform like the publisher intended.
Mhm.
Because I'm like, why would you switch directions? Like they had that book and its subsequent books labeled as Danny O'Malley book 1.
Right.
book 2. They had that on there. And now if you go and look on Goodreads, they now say Fever 6 through 10 or whatever it
Right.
is. So they purposely changed directions on that. So that alone makes me a little bit leery.
Hmm. It
But
also makes you wonder, like, well, if this was supposed to be the start of Danny's story, was Mac's story really supposed to end with Shadow Fever? Like, was that really supposed to be her end?
probably
And
not.
if so, why continue through?
Yeah. But at the end of Shadow Fever, there were things that needed to be addressed still. So I guess she had room to work with. It's not like she had to start completely from scratch and pull new storylines out of the air.
Hmm.
There were things open, so I guess I could see it going a couple different ways, but I don't know. I gotta wait and see. We'll wait and see.
We shall see. And I
Yes, we
think
will.
last time I checked Goodreads, man, there were a slew of books on there. I think it was saying it was going up to 10,
Mhm.
which, yep, and they actually have, and I just checked, they have the titles up for book 8 and 9, which I don't know how I feel about that, but okay.
I don't know. That means she has a plan. She's plotted out each book probably already.
Hmm.
If you've got titles for them.
Yeah, that's exactly what that means. I'm
Um,
excited to read the rest. I'm just very confused about Ice.
mhm, mhm. I almost feel like not to bring like other series up, but there's this one series. I don't know if you read it. It's a YA series called Immortal Instruments. You know how that kind of
Yes.
ended? It ended, and then all of a sudden, wow, we're back with more drama. I'm
I
like,
read
oh,
book one on that series, and I bought book two. Oh my god, I read book one, bought book two, and that was all I could take. And it's like every year, it's like, okay, well, this is the finale, but then here's a spinoff. Well, this is the
exactly.
finale. Here's a new spinoff. It's like, stop beating the dead horse. Stop it.
Yeah, because after actually it was originally I think a trilogy because I remember reading the third book and like, oh wow, that was a really great ending, and then I was shocked. It's like, what? There's more books?
Like, why?
So I'm like, oh, I hope this doesn't go that way. I hope it still stays fresh. It still stays good and not, an afterthought.
Right, like again, I hate to bring up other series. I do, just like you said, but the Suki series. There comes a point in every series where you just need to say, okay, this
Mhm.
has run its course. This is the end. Instead
Mhm.
of just trying to strangle whatever life you can out of it. It's like just it's over. It's okay. Let go. I really just don't want to see that happen with this series. Like if it was supposed to end with Shadow Fever, I'm fine with stopping at Shadow Fever and not even thinking about picking up Ice. But if it
Mhm.
really was the plan for it to go on after that, I have no problem with picking up those books. Just
Yeah.
don't try and strangle that life if that life ain't there.
Yeah. I wish that there was a clear direction from the author as far as if that was actually the intended ending because I agree with you. Um Shadow Fever, it felt like an end. And if that was her intention, I wish, she wouldn't have gone back to them. But,
Hmm.
you know, it is what it is, I guess.
You can only try it out and see.
Mhm. Mhm. But I am glad I came across this author, and it's funny. I actually went to what was that thing called? Oh my goodness, it was in Chicago a couple years ago. RT Times Convention or something, Romantic Times.
Yes, you went to the
She was
RT convention.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny. This author was there, but at the time, I didn't know anything about her. I'm like, I remember walking straight past that table, like, who is that? Whatever. Let me go over here to see J.R. Ward. Forget that lady. And now I'm
Isn't
like,
that how it
oh,
always
I could have
happens?
met her.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, thinking back, I'm like, oh man, I could have talked to her and everything, but oh well, maybe next time.
Yeah, you always got next time.
Yeah, maybe we'll see, right?
Right.
All right. Well, I guess that's it. I think we talked we talked Dream Fever to death.
It was a good book.
It was
Not our
good.
fault.
So if anyone out there is watching, I know we gave a lot of spoilers. I have sort of apologize, but I feel like if you're watching this, you've gotten far enough that you can stand a few spoilers, or you've probably finished it. But if not, we definitely, well, I recommend pushing on. Just keep reading because it gets better.
I like to hear that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I guess let's wrap things up. Thank you for joining me, Octavia. It's fun as always.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it, of course.
Yeah, so now you've got to read the next two books, and then we will reconvene.
So we can go over them too. Sounds
Yeah.
like fun.
Now don't push it off now. I'm gonna be on you.
I am going to, as soon as I can, I'm going to download it from Overdrive. I got a few other books on my plate, but I'm going to download it from Overdrive and listen.
Okay, good deal.
All
All right,
right.
guys. I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.